Talk. Talk. Talk to me Tuesday. Hi there, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Mari B, and today we have a very special guest. Shantha Raghuthaman is here. Joining the show, you will be speaking about Asians against domestic abuse. So we'll go into that here in a second. So I want to welcome all of you guys. Again, open up those lines of communication if you guys have any questions about domestic violence. This month, in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're doing this special show to kind of highlight the Domestic Violence Awareness Month and the importance of this month. Now, the Domestic Violence Awareness Month is a purple ribbon. I see you wearing a purple ribbon, and you guys will see it also in the screen here shortly. And breast cancer is honoring pink. A pink ribbon. So this whole month we want to encourage you guys to try to take pictures. If you're in your purple, if you're in your pink, take pictures, make sure you hashtag us and definitely tag us on it. We would love to see your involvement as well this month, honoring those two very special awareness months. Now, the special show that we're honoring domestic violence, Shantha, tell us a little bit, for those viewers that don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about you and where you're from.
I am originally from India.
Okay.
I was born in Iran but brought up in the Far East. I went to school in the Far East, went to college in India, went to England, did my medical technology training, and then here I am in America for the last many years.
That's awesome. So you said you went to England, and that's a little accent I hear. I hear a little England accent, which is beautiful. So that's awesome. So how many years were you in England?
I lived in England for 2.5 years, but I was brought up in Brunei, in a small town called Syria, and our schools were run by missionaries. They were nuns from England, and so we followed the curriculum that was set by Cambridge University. So I suppose that's why I grew up speaking English.
Yes, don't lose your accent. That's awesome. So that's awesome that where you're from, and then now you're here residing in Houston, Texas. And you're going to be speaking today about AADA, AADA is what you guys kind of go by it.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about AADA, what this organization is about, what does it stand for, all that good stuff.
AADA stands for Asians Against Domestic Abuse, and we provide holistic services for women who are from the greater Asian countries and who have problems, who have been abused. And also there are some that face a lot of difficulties because they don't speak English. And also they are in a country where, people look different, and they also have problems trying to find resources that they can get help from.
Okay, so are we generally speaking about only women, or could this also be women, men, children? Like who do you guys target, or is it open?
Mostly we work with women, yes.
Okay.
Women and children, because some of them do have children.
Okay.
So we do work with women and children.
So that's good that you guys help women, anybody, women, children, even men. But I definitely want to tell you guys the severity of this. We're talking domestic violence, a form of abuse, and we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that. So if you know, or even if you are watching right now and this may pertain to you, we will load up some phone numbers, some hotlines. That way you know where to go in need of help, or if you're in the situation. So tell us, Shantha, how did you get inspired to help some of these women that you've been faced with?
I used to volunteer on the hotline at the Houston Area Women's Center. And as volunteers, we were told that if someone who didn't speak English called, to connect them to the AT&T language line. And so I was there one afternoon, and there was a call from a woman, and no one understood what she was saying, so they automatically connected her to the AT&T language line. Now, as soon as she was connected and we could hear the operator ask her in English, she hung up. And it was very sad because we know that it takes a lot of courage from the part of the woman to make that very first call. And when you are not able to get any help, it's very difficult. So she hung up, and I felt terrible that whole day that we weren't able to help that person. And how I got involved was that's what inspired me to try and see what we could do to help. So I got together some of my friends, about 4 or 5 of them, and we formed AADA.
That's awesome.
Because we felt that there were women out there who lacked services, and because they came from different parts of the world, they spoke different languages, they had different cultures, different religions. And so what AADA does is we provide holistic services, and we provide culturally sensitive counseling. We provide transitional housing, and we also help them with finding jobs, and we help them learn English. And if they have children, then we also help the children with counseling, and we get them enrolled in schools, and that's what we do.
I love it. I love what you stand for, but you know what? You completely nailed it. If you have even know someone, a family member, friend, or if it's even you, it does take a lot of courage. A lot of courage. So I want to commend anybody that's even gone through the program, or anybody even probably thinking about that. That's the first step, is courage, and calling, and then getting the proper help. So I love the fact that it took that one moment for you to open up something to help others, for when they do get that sense of courage, you're right there. I love it. So tell us a little bit about what is your position with this organization.
I am one of the founders. I am the immediate past president, and at the moment I'm on the advisory board.
Wow, 3 pretty important positions right there. So let's talk a little bit about, I kind of want to tap into what exactly is domestic violence. I know we may hear it, and you might say, oh, is this my situation? Does this pertain to me or my loved one? But what exactly is domestic violence?
Well, it can be anything. Hitting someone, punching, that's physical. And then there is the mental, where anything that she does is wrong. And, he doesn't approve of certain things, doesn't approve of the way she dresses, doesn't approve of the way she speaks, doesn't approve of her going out, wants her to be in the house all the time. And so there are many forms, but the physical form is something that you will see on a woman when she's been hit, or she's been pushed and things like that. But the mental part of that is very difficult, because you don't see any visible signs on their body. But that does not mean that she's not going through abuse.
Right.
She probably is going through abuse.
Right.
And then women sometimes hesitate to call, because we have when we do our training, they teach us about this wheel of violence. So there's a wheel which there's the violence, and then there's that honeymoon phase where he's very nice to her, brings her flowers, and says he's sorry, and then after a few days it starts again. So many women, they stay in a marriage because the honeymoon phase is really, then she feels that, well, he really cares for me, he really loves me, he's bringing me flowers, and but then it doesn't last. It goes back, and he starts hitting her again. And finally she will see that this is not what she wants in life, and she picks up the phone and she calls. Now, if the batterer is in the house, it's very difficult for her to make that call. But if she makes the call when he's not there. And but we always tell them that they should try and reach out when the batterer is not there, because that's when they're more safe. And they can always call the police. The police will come and help them, take them to the police station, call the shelter, and help them find shelter.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what that process looks like, but in the meantime, what you just mentioned is not only physical domestic violence, but mental as well. the mental, in my opinion, may be the hardest one to determine. Not only because you just mentioned it's not visible, but also if someone is in that situation, they may normalize the situation and say, they're not hitting me, it's fine, it's normal. But what you're saying is this could be a problem. If they're in that situation, could they call you guys and see if it's a form of domestic violence?
Of course,
Okay.
of course, because see, the thing is that when it's mental, many times she will think, well, maybe he will get better, maybe it will get better, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, maybe I said something wrong, maybe I said something that I shouldn't have said. So the guilty feelings are there in her, and so she stays in that relationship. And then, of course, like I said, the honeymoon phase comes along, you know, and then he's sorry for what he has done. Physical, you can see.
Right.
Mental, you cannot.
Right.
You know,
Right,
so.
and that's something I want to bring to you guys, for those of you guys that are viewing this show, is whether it's physical or mental. If you see someone in this situation, the guilt is a normal. Maybe it was me. Maybe I said something wrong. But being in a healthy relationship is where the goal is. If you feel like you're not in a healthy relationship, maybe just controlling what you do, what you wear, where you are, that could intentionally be a form of mental domestic violence. And so that's something that we want definitely to reach. And before we keep going, I know the helpline right now is on the screen. So there is some phone numbers that they can call, even right now, if you think it's one of you or a family member or a friend, and they can call and you guys can advise them the best that you can. Is that correct?
Yes. Because it takes a lot of, it takes a lot out of them to make that first call.
Yes.
Because they are confused, and like I said, they just think that the fault is all theirs many times. And so it takes a while for them to call.
And I love that you guys offer 24/7 hotline, because right now you're contemplating or thinking about it, that sense of courage can come at any time. So we definitely want to welcome for you guys to give a call at that hotline, and they have the dedicated team and the professionals to help out if you guys are involved in that type of situation. So now let's talk a little bit, Shantha, of what the process usually looks like if someone is in a domestic violence, physical or mental. What does that process look like before it gets to you guys, potentially?
Well, normally it takes her a little time to call. She may be in that relationship or going through it maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months. I mean, it takes them a long time. They might make that first call but may not be ready to leave. So they call and they'll say, well, this happened, and they might use, and say things like, well, he said this and I don't know, and maybe it's this. So we talk to them to try and find out the extent of what it is that they need. And so, it's not easy for someone to just leave, because there are sometimes children involved. But at the same time, you don't want the children to see this. And so it takes them a while. It's not something that like no one leaves at the first instance. They sort of think that he'll change. And they try to work it out. And some of them sometimes even go to marriage counselors, but I've not taken any calls where they've gone through that process.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, this is a very difficult situation, not just for the individual going through it, but also the family members. It is tough. We definitely understand it could be a very difficult process to gather your courage and give a call to the number. But we have dedicated people at AADA to help even the children, which children are very much involved. How are the effects on the children that you've noticed with certain family members?
Well, we recommend that the children go through counseling.
Okay.
If they've witnessed, anything like that, and sometimes it helps them. And so it does make it difficult for the children, especially if they're older.
And even when they're younger, it could definitely affect them in a mental standpoint as well.
Sure.
There's just a lot of effects that we have to be very careful on what is exposed to our children, which is our future of tomorrow. So tell me, Shantha, what if someone does not necessarily speak English? Now, I know we're going to be on the show on Thursday, which is our Spanish show, which is in 2 days. But what if someone doesn't speak English, speaks another language, and there's so many languages out there. Do you guys have the proper help that can help any language?
We do. We have board members that speak the various different languages, and we also
Awesome.
have advocates who speak many languages.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. So even if you have a family member that speaks Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, anything, sky's the limit, right? You guys can definitely
we are
help.
able to help them.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I'm sure that comes from that one time, that experience you had that they didn't speak the language and that lady or young woman hung up.
Yeah.
So that is amazing that you guys offer those languages, and certain people can tell their story when they have courage in their native tongue.
Yes.
That's a lot easier for sure.
Yes.
So what resources do you offer the women that you have helped once they already come?
We help. We offer transitional housing.
Okay.
We offer culturally sensitive counseling. We help them with English. If they're not able to speak English.
Wow.
With sending them to learning like HCC or some place where they can take some languages.
Okay.
English classes.
Uh-huh.
And also with job training.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. We help them find jobs.
So you help them not only in their situation of domestic violence, either or physical or mental, but you also help them get back on their feet.
Yes, that's our goal.
That's huge.
That's our goal.
Yes.
Because the rent that we provide covers them for about 6 months. And of course, when we give them the transitional housing, now we do make sure that they have a protective order and a restraining order so that he is not able to come anywhere nearby. And so they are protected. And we try and help them find a job and, something that can help them so that they can move forward. And if they have children, we help the children with enrolling in schools. We also help them with counseling and other stuff that, that goes by, that's needed.
I think that is very important, because in this time when your world pretty much shatters and it's just down to you don't have any hope in the situation, and it's amazing that you help them get back on their feet. You do provide the assistance to help them normalize them and their family, because there's sometimes kids involved. There are. So I think that is huge. So let's talk about and go into the children. The children are a very big part of this, whether the children are actually getting directly abused or not directly. They are very much so affected. So what resources do you offer for the children?
The children, we offer counseling for them too.
Okay.
We do offer counseling for the
That's
children.
awesome.
And then we offer childcare. We offer, we help them with, like I said, enrolling in schools. And pretty much that, I think that's what we do. And at one time, for a few years, we even did, fill their a thing called fill their backpacks. So we would get backpacks and we would fill them with things like pencils and crayons and books and stuff, so that they had backpacks to take to school.
That's awesome. I love that. And you know what, we can probably collaborate too in the future, and I know if any of you guys are watching that would like to collaborate as well in giving back to AADA. In AADA, it's again domestic violence, but it's also linked with children. So there's a lot of impact that can be in the AADA organization, which I love that. So we'll talk a little bit about how you can also give back and help those that are in AADA and even or AADA, just collaborate with them and make a difference as well. So tell me how many people, and you've been doing this for quite some time, how many years total? We didn't go over that.
This is AADA's 18th year.
Wow, 18.
18.
That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's something super awesome, and it's great to hear 18 years of making a difference in people's lives. So based on the 18 years, which you could probably give me several scenarios, how many people do you have that you've helped in this program? Like in 1 month, how many could you say?
I would say, like we were looking at statistics actually today, and what we found was we've had maybe close to 1,000 calls in the last 18 years, and we probably have helped about 600 women.
Wow.
Yes,
that's
over the years.
Amazing. Do you still keep in touch with some of those that you've helped?
Well, no, we actually we don't try to contact them, but they contact us.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Which is really nice.
Yes.
Which is really nice.
And that's a beautiful, you can kind of talk a little bit about this here in a little bit, but how you've helped them get on their feet, impacted their life, and then just to see how they're doing amazing.
Yes.
Is always super rewarding.
It is. So I sometimes get a WhatsApp message from one of the girls. This was about 3 years ago that we helped, and it'll just be, "Hi, Auntie, how are you?" And I reply saying, "I'm fine, thank you." And then she'll send me a little photograph of hers, or she'll send me a little rose picture.
Sweet.
It's really nice to hear back from them.
So you get really not emotionally invested, but invested just like a family member.
Yes.
You're saying they call you Auntie. That's a pretty dear to your heart.
I know, but then it depends on where they're from. Like if they're from India and some of the other Middle Eastern countries, that's how they, out of respect, they don't call you by your name.
Got it. Okay. So, I love that. Yeah. I love that you've created more of a family environment, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So tell us, what does, in your eyes, a survivor look like?
I cannot say there's a face of a survivor, but a survivor could be someone who works at the bank, someone who works in a grocery store. She could be a teacher. She could be a professor. She could be anyone. Because we really cannot put a face to that, saying that she's a survivor, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
There isn't one.
And I agree with you, because you just went over, there's 2 types of domestic violence, physical and mental. So you just never know. They could be coworkers. They could be in the room that you're having a coffee. Mm-hmm. You never know who's in the room and what they're going through.
Exactly.
I always say acts of kindness. You never know. Always put a smile on your face, because you never know what the other person's going through. And this is a good example.
It is.
They could either be going through it or surviving it.
Yes.
Someone in the room that you just have no idea.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Because it's a stigma. There's a stigma attached to it. Mm-hmm. Because she doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want to air her dirty linen in public. Mm-hmm. What's going on in the house. Mm-hmm. So and especially amongst Asian women, it's very different. Yeah. And so, plus there are all the different difficulties that she faces. Like if they've just come from another country. This whole country, it's new to her. She doesn't speak the language. She doesn't know anyone. She has no relatives. Yeah. So she's alone.
Yeah, and you know what? You bring up a great point. Your home is your personal nest. Like, that's where everything happens. Mm-hmm. So to take what happens in the home outside could be a little difficult at times. It's respected. Mm-hmm. We definitely understand. So yeah, I love that you never know who's around, but I love that you guys are willing to help any person that we want to definitely call them survivors. They've survived after an act of courage. Mm-hmm. Not a victim, a survivor. Yes, I'm very dear with that. So is there a specific number or place that they either should go or they should call if in need of help?
Yes, they can call our hotline. I mean, we don't call it a hotline. We call it a voicemail. We have a voicemail, and because we don't have we have people who pick up the calls. Okay. That's how it is. So it's 713-339-8300.
Okay, and that's actually right above us on the screen. There's also your website. That they can also go to the website. It's over here, the website, and they can go look, probably see what you guys do for other survivors, or what you guys, if you guys want to be involved in the community or with AADA, you could probably go on this website and they can also help. But that hotline is 24/7. It doesn't get any better than that. Yeah. So I definitely want to encourage that you guys go there. Now, you guys have a lot of things that you guys do to make an impact. I received a folder from AADA, and in the folder there's something that looks like so. It says Story of Impact. I love it. I turned it around, which kind of has your logo and has the purple. Why did you guys choose purple?
I don't know. I think because purple stood for domestic
violence.
Yes.
Which it's, again, the ribbon that we have this month. It is purple also signifies other things, but it does signify domestic violence. So I love this royal purple. There's a lot of meaning to that. Now, talk to me of what's on this Story of Impact.
It's a story of a survivor, and this is someone who's come into this country.
Wow. So, now, is this something that, it is anonymous, the survivor is anonymous, we will not disclose, and even on here it says anonymous. So it's not just for the show. We want to protect those courageous survivors that have stepped forward and told their story. Is this something that you want to briefly either just a little bit read or read the whole thing so our viewers can kind of hear?
I'd love to read it.
Okay, would love to hear it.
I am a 32-year-old woman who was reborn 6 months ago. The life I had with my ex-husband ended when he tried to slit my throat with a kitchen knife. Since he brought me to this country, he had prevented me from learning the language, learning how to drive, work, or making friends. I lived in total isolation, and he was the only person I knew for years. My neighbors were always a source of threat to him, so they became off limits for me. I'm an engineer and an older sister to good young men, but I became a toddler when I became a wife. Every step I took, I had to search his face for approval. Every thought I had made me feel guilty because he was not privy to it. Stranded on a strange continent with a strange language and a strange husband, I became a stranger to myself. At the beginning, I told myself that it will get better, that he will be sorry when he sees how good a wife I am to him. After all, that's what my mother drove into me since I was a child. Be his slave and he will become yours. As time crept on, I thought maybe I was doing something wrong. Maybe I deserved this treatment, or maybe I'm not just good enough. I learned how to scream on the inside when he beat me, to watch TV with one eye when the other eye became swollen. And I also learned how to do the housework with one hand when the other one was twisted out of shape. I was strong, resilient, creative, but I was also a victim of domestic violence. AADA helped me move to a safer location, found me a part-time job, started me at a literacy school to learn English, helped me with my criminal case against my abuser, helped me obtain a divorce lawyer, and guided me with my immigration procedures. I can finally have a full night's sleep now. I can breathe without pain. I still cry sometimes, but I also smile a lot and even laugh. I can make decisions about my future. I can have a future. They tell me that I'm courageous because I reached out. I am safe and happy again, and that's all I ever wanted.
It's a great story. I got chills while you were reading it. This was very well written as well. I kind of want to touch a little bit of base. She did touch on her experience, how she was reborn, which I love. She also talked about going through something and being a stranger herself and then thinking that he was going to come back and be nice again. So tell us about that process. Is that a normal process that you blame yourself or whoever is in these situations? You think it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Don't worry about it. Is this a normal cycle?
Sort of.
Okay.
It also depends on the culture you come from. Like, for example, she said what her mother told you. I read what her mother told her. Be a slave and he will be yours as well.
Yeah.
So it's something that, it's her culture that also was preventing her to make that first move.
Yeah.
Because she did what he wanted, and she did whatever she could.
Right.
But then she started questioning herself because it wasn't what her mother told her.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is such an impactful story. And it breaks my heart to hear that they get to a very low state of mind, to where they can't even cry out for help because they're so weak. Yeah.
And scared.
And what if, and not just that, in this story in particular, she didn't know the language. It was a foreign country. That's even scarier. And put yourself in this person's shoes and flip it. If we were to go to a foreign country, let me just say Russia right now, I wouldn't know the language, how to get by, where to go, anything like that. I could just imagine how she felt.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's scary, especially the United States of America is huge. It's totally different than certain cultures. Is a culture shock. So have you kept in contact with her, or do you know any, if you still have any type of, like, if she's doing okay? She says she's very happy, which is awesome, and that she feels like she has a future, which is awesome as well.
I don't, because I didn't work with her.
Got it. Okay.
And we don't normally, go back and check on them unless they call us for some reason.
Unless they do, yes.
We do
that's
want
awesome.
them to become independent.
Yeah, so this is a sad story, I know.
With a good ending.
With a good
Happy
ending, an amazing ending. It started off with a slit in her throat, and then it ended up, acts of courage, and then getting the full help. And you guys don't just help with just a job. She said here, the job, my criminal case, my divorce lawyer, my immigration, those are big, important parts of life.
Yes,
I love that. So you guys do big leaps of faith on helping the survivors here.
But not everyone will need all of that.
Right.
There are some cases where they might not need. They might need an attorney, but they might have a job.
Okay.
So
it depends.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
Love that. So let's liven up the mood a little bit more. So is there a specific story that you are able to share on how you have affected someone's life?
Yes. Well, this was, I would say about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We got a call. I don't know how they found my number, but I got a call from somebody. It was through somebody, I think she got my number. And she called me and said that she had a friend who needed help. And this was back in Philadelphia. So the problem was that she had gotten married in India, and then she had come here. And she was being abused, not just by her husband, but her father-in-law as well. And so, so she talked to someone. She had a job. So she talked to a colleague of hers or a friend of hers. And so it got to the point that she wanted to get out of that. But at the same time, he was a citizen, I think, and he had filed for a green card for her. And so they called and they said that, she needs help. And this was in Philadelphia, and there wasn't a place or an organization like ours there. So and at the same time, she had this interview with the immigration department so that she could get her green card. And it was the very first interview. But her husband told her not to go. He said he wasn't going to show up. So, because he didn't want her to get the green card, he wanted her to be deported. So we told her, we said, no, you need to go to the interview. You have to go and explain your situation to them. So if he doesn't show up, well, there's a reason why he hasn't shown up, but they need to know that. So, and then we said that as soon as you do that, we will move you from there to Houston. So that's what we did. So she went for the interview. He did not show up. She told them exactly what was going on. It got documented. And then she came from there to Houston.
Oh, wow.
So we got her, a place to stay. And she was quite an enterprising person, so she found some sort of work. But then she needed help with, the green card because she had already filed. So you can self-petition under the VAWA Act, which is the Violence Against Women's Act. So we found an attorney, and she went and filed her own petition with his help, and then she got her green card, and then she got a job at a leasing place for apartments, and then she got a job at U of H, and then she found someone, and
wow.
It was strange because she found someone, and and she had moved back. She found and she had moved to. I think by that time she had moved to New York. I think so. Then she came down, and the best part of this was that she came down, and we were having a small event for AADA. So she told us that she was coming, and she brought him, and she told him. She said that I have all these friends, and I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to introduce you, and I'm going to tell them that that you like me, and I might get married, but if they don't like you, then I'm not going to marry you.
Wow.
And so she brought him, and then she introduced us to him, and he was such a nice person.
He was probably nervous. Yes.
She told me that, and then they got married.
Aww.
And she now lives in, I think she lives in New Jersey, and she works at Columbia University.
That's awesome. So you guys approved of him.
Yes,
I take it, right? Because
yes,
she got married.
I mean, this is one of the very rare occasions when this thing has happened to us. I mean, it was really nice that she felt that way.
Yes.
She felt that way because the first one, of course, she got married in India and came, and then this one. And now every now and she's the one who sends me every now and then a WhatsApp message.
Aww, so
how
sweet.
are you and stuff like that.
So sweet. I love
she
that
always
story.
remembers New Year and holidays and stuff, and she always send best wishes and greetings and things like that. She keeps in touch with us.
That's awesome. First of all, I love that story. I love the connection that you build with these survivors. They really they come, and your opinion matters, and even on their next relationship. I think that's beautiful.
It is.
That's an amazing story, because you said she started in Philadelphia, and then after that you guys resided here in Houston. That was actually going to be my next question. Do you only help people in Houston?
No.
But it sounds like the answer is no.
No.
Okay.
If we get a call, and if it's something that, and they're looking for culturally sensitive, like some place where someone knows their language, and they want that. They want to see somebody who looks like them, or and there are places that they don't have such organizations in smaller places,
right?
And so that's where then if we get the call, now they can call places in New York, Boston. I mean, there are different places there, and there are places that are, organizations like ours also. So sometimes we'll refer if they call and they're in a place where we know, like. Once I got a call from a very good friend of mine, and she said, I have somebody who's looking for help. So I went back and researched, and I found this place, and I said, here are the numbers that person can call, these numbers. And they were put in touch. And first I called them and said, look, I'm referring someone to this number, and that person may call you, just to let them know. So then, they just got acquainted, they got connected. That's awesome. And yes, not all the time.
So sometimes there may be help in your community.
Yes.
Or there may not. Whoever, we definitely want to encourage whoever you feel comfortable calling, because they may feel comfortable calling you. And that, like the girl from Philadelphia, that was the number she got, but it was an act of courage. And so you definitely want to act upon that, right?
She didn't call. It was her friend who called.
Oh, it was her friend.
She didn't call. It was her friend who called to ask if there were any services there. And then after that, they put her in touch with us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So again, 24/7, even nationwide, is where AADA is available and can definitely help out. So now let's talk a little bit about this month. This month, we kind of already said that it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is awesome. The color is purple. It's a purple ribbon that you're actually wearing right now. Right. So that is something that we are highlighting this month for the whole 31 days of October. So what are the ways that the community could potentially get involved, or can even help if they want to be a part of AADA?
Well, we have two events coming up this weekend. One is on Friday night. It's called Voices Against Violence. It's being held at Sugarland Town Square. There is a concert there, and it's called the Giving Concert. Wow. And AADA will have a booth out there with, all the different brochures and stuff. In addition, we hang a clothesline, and the clothesline is made up of T-shirts that were painted by survivors.
Wow.
And we hang that up, and that's our clothesline. So it tells this pretty much what they're thinking and what they've gone through.
That's
and there are
awesome.
some that are done by their children as well. And then we do a candlelight vigil where we remember the women who have lost their lives. And we invite everyone to come and just listen to the concert. Stop at AADA's booth. They can learn about us. If you want to volunteer, you can sign up. And then there's a proclamation that's read from the mayor of the city, and it's given to us. And so we've been doing this. This is probably our 5th year, I think.
That's awesome.
That we do this concert.
And it's open up to the public?
Yes.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
It's a giving concert.
The information was on there, which again, it's Friday, October 4th from 6:30 to 8:30. You said in the Sugarland
Town Square.
Town Square.
Sugar Land
Okay.
Town Square.
You guys kind of saw it right now on the screen, so that way you guys, if you're interested, can they also find this information on the website?
Yes, I think it's on the website.
Okay, perfect. So this is one of many events. Now, this is a very busy month for you.
It is a very busy month. And then on Sunday, we are tying, every year for the last 3 years, we've been tying purple ribbons on the trees in Sugar Land. So we've got the permission from the city to do that. So we tie purple ribbons on some of the roads, like where there's an esplanade, where you have an area where we have trees. They have trees, so we tie purple ribbons. And so we invite people to come and be to volunteer for that event. And it's on Sunday morning. It's from 8, I think, to 10, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's amazing. You guys tie purple ribbons. So if you guys see a purple ribbon on the tree in Sugar Land, we know it's you guys.
Yes, it's
AADA.
us, AADA.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
AADA.
And so if someone wants to volunteer for any upcoming events or any volunteer opportunities, they can go to the website. And,
they can go to the website.
Your booth.
They can go to our booth. They can go to the website. They can call also.
Okay.
The office number.
Now, let's talk a little bit about another important thing that you guys have. You just said you completed 18 years in this month. So you guys are going to be doing a pretty big event.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that event it's going to be towards the end of the month?
The 25th of the month.
Okay.
And it's going to be held at the Bayou Ballroom in downtown. It's an 80s themed event, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow.
And we're encouraging people to come in 80s attire.
Wow, so it's also open to the public.
Well, with tickets.
Oh, with tickets.
Yes.
So to get tickets, they do have to contact you or anybody on the website?
Well, they can go onto the website. It's all there. They can buy tickets through Eventbrite. It's on the website.
Okay.
They can go onto our onto our Facebook page. So tickets, if they want to, they can do that.
So get your tickets now. I know I'm going to be there. We will have some representatives as well from either Talk to Me Tuesday, D.Miller and Associates. So definitely the information's on the screen. Friday, October 25th from 6:30 to 11. It's going to be the night. It's going to be a party. And you guys are celebrating your 18 years, which is something super awesome to celebrate. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to get your tickets online, Eventbrite, Facebook. There's so many options. And on the website, it will definitely let you know as well. So that is awesome. It's going to be a great time, I hear.
I think so. I hope
Let's
so.
not tell them everything, right?
No, we're not telling them everything. It's got to remain a secret.
Yes, we have to keep it a secret. So that's awesome. So I definitely want to ask you, Shantha, if there's any last minute that you want to give viewers that are watching our show, if they've had someone, if them or a loved one has been affected, what would you leave them with? What either words of advice or quotes or even just a little short message would you give?
Well, if somebody reaches out to you, you can always give them our number and they can call. But it takes a lot of courage to make that first call. So that's what I would advise. And also, if it's someone close to you, you can comfort them and tell them that, assistance is available to them. And I suppose it's up to this, the person who's going through it to talk about it. I mean, she may not want to disclose what she's going through.
Yeah, it's a very serious matter. I want to piggyback everything you said, and definitely want to encourage if you or a loved one is in need of someone to talk to and don't know where to turn to, AADA is a great facility, and they can help. They have hotlines right above right now with the website. Even if you just want to go to the website and just read a little bit to gather the courage, you can definitely do that as well. We also are in the platform, in the space to also, if you feel comfortable speaking to us or calling us, we can make arrangements, have you meet with them, come to the office. There's a lot of things to where we can make the situation comfortable for you guys and or family member or friend. Even anybody that's in your space. It could be a coworker and you heard something and you just want to get them help. I think this is very important. This is a very serious matter. Domestic violence doesn't come in a very loud color. It's literally, sometimes it could be mental and sometimes it could be physical. Sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. So if you are a friend, a coworker, a family member, that someone is confiding in you, I strongly suggest that you listen I think that's really big and advised to get the proper help after that courage has already been made on giving the story.
Right.
Any other advice that you would give for those people that have been told the story and are just listening? I know that has to be difficult too. A family member or friend that are listening, they don't know what to do. What sense of advice would you give them?
I would say that when it is safe for them to pick up the phone and call, because they don't have to suffer in silence.
That's good.
And help is available.
Yeah, there's a lot of help, and we have brought AADA. I want to thank you guys for coming to speaking about what you guys do, to the magnitude that you guys do, sharing some stories, how you guys are involved in the community. I want to thank you guys for being such a strong vessel in our community.
Thank you.
Not just here in Houston, but nationwide as well. Yes.
Rarely, but we have had calls.
But it is possible for sure. So
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you guys for watching. This is a serious matter. It is something to be taken very seriously as well. If you hear any type of words, definitely encourage them whenever they're ready to come out and speak about their story and getting help. So that way they can be getting to the walks of being a little bit normal as well. Back to normal and having that life that goes back to either a job or a sense of happiness. I want to thank all of you guys for watching the show. I want to thank all of you guys for sharing the show. The more you guys share, the more lives we can affect and help out for those that are in need within this situation. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk to Me Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I'm your host, Madi B. Till next time.